If I ask the question, what is the one thing you want now? I will get a uniform answer from everyone in the world. What everyone wants at the end is peace built into happiness. This is why everyone is constantly engaged in something or the other, looking for peace. But the search for peace is never ending. And why is that so? Search for peace denotes that peace has to come from somewhere. Fundamentally, this is wrong, and it is called misplaced search. The person searching for peace in reality is only trying to satisfy the demand of his mind, and in doing so, he is simply attempting to solve an internal problem with an external source. This equation is incongruent, and therefore his attempts do not give him satisfactory results. A man who thinks getting married may improve the quality of his life at a certain time feels stifled and wants to end his marriage in a few years' time. In both the situations, he is only trying to resolve the demand of his restless mind without really identifying the exact reason for the restlessness. Clearly, there is an error in the diagnosis, and hence the problem remains unresolved. Vedanta says that peace is inside you. In fact, only inside you. And then goes on to say that you are that peace. Thus, the search for peace will end immediately upon knowing the truth about you. And this is not an unrealistic aspiration at all. Anyone can accomplish this. It is very simple too, as it only requires a small shift in the way you think about yourself and the world. The results are guaranteed by Vedanta, which contains the solution to end all human problems. The essence of today's talk is just that. It is to bring to the fore an important knowledge from the Vedic scriptures to remain unaffected by the ever-changing realities of the world. Now, when I decided to talk on this topic, I must admit I did not make any assumption about any one of you not experiencing peace. But the big question is, can you stay in peace always, in spite of the troubles coming from the triple demons, namely finance, health, or relationship? Peace, correctly understood, is experiencing completeness or wholesomeness in oneself. This means no dependence on any external source. Vedanta attributes ignorance of man as the reason for thinking about himself as an incomplete human being, and therefore the constant need to depend on the world outside. Ending your search for peace really means removing the misconception and knowing your true self. And does it mean you do not know yourself? And why should you believe in what Vedanta says? Let me at this juncture present some insights that will change your view about your need to depend on the world for peace. First, in general, people who do not have the knowledge of their true self are content with experiential peace or happiness. Such people are deceived by the play of life and therefore take every experience of life as real and take such experience as reward or punishment. The existence of external objects that seemingly extend sense pleasures depends on the belief that they exist. However, the truth is, no one has yet been able to prove that things exist independent of the observer. Everything we perceive is unreal, both at intellectual and physical level, even though they may be facts based on physical experience. Until we learn to dehypnotize our mind, which has been hypnotized into believing that the world with varieties of objects actually exist, we shall be the victim of our own ignorance, aptly said by a renowned philosopher. And when we realize the truth, we shall discover that we too are like other objects, which have no value other than that of mere appearances. Various ornaments made of gold appear different from each other, but they depend on gold for their existence. They do not have an existence separate from gold, meaning they do not have any substantiality of their own. Thus, viewed from the perspective of gold, the various ornaments are unreal and only superficially different, or we may say they are all essentially gold appearing with different names and forms. With this background, let us examine the truth about ourselves, the key to experiencing permanent peace. Who are you? Are you Peter? But it is only a name given to you. It is not you. You were not born with it, and that means you only acquired it from someone. At the time of your birth, you were just an existence with a conscious body and nothing more. Everything that you have now, your body, your clothes, belong to you, but they are not you. Your mind and the thoughts contained in it are acquired here and here before. They belong to you, but they are not you. Everything acquired will have to be returned someday. That is why your body at the end of a certain term goes back to where it came from. So will everything else go. Thus, everything I said about you is only facts and not the truth. And facts can change with time, but not the truth. Again, inside your body, a highly intelligent and complex network of innumerable parts are constantly delivering so many things for you, but you're not aware of the mystery surrounding it. Obviously, you're now tempted to ask the questions: who am I? And what is the truth about me? And what is my relationship with that truth? And finally, the more important question: why do I need to know about that truth? Vedanta says that knowing that truth is equal to knowing everything in the world and beyond. And when you know the truth about yourself, you will know everything. And not only that, you will realize that you are the only truth existing in this world, and all else are merely experiential facts resting in time and space, subject to change, and eventually become one with that unseen or nothing, as some physicists call it. Let us examine in some details as to who you are really. Every human being is made of two independent components, namely the body-mind complex, which is a pure matter, and the consciousness, which is a sentient substance. However, on account of their precariously intimate relationship, it is understood by everyone as one single unit. Emphatically, this misperception is man's biggest barrier in preventing him from knowing the truth about himself. The matter-fed body-mind which we possess is acquired from the five elements of nature, which by itself is insentient. And now, based on your new understanding, the body-mind complex, your first component, which is borrowed from the nature, remains conscious for as long as it has been programmed to obtain sentiency from the consciousness, the second component of you. It is just an instrument you possess for transacting in the phenomenal world and not the essence of your life. This truth can be realized from your own experience during deep sleep, when your body-mind is not available for any transaction. And it is during this period that you experience total bliss. So, what made it possible for you to experience the bliss? It is the consciousness, which is your second and more important component. It is the same consciousness without which you cannot engage in any transaction during the day, nor engage in any dream transactions. This confirms the ultimate truth that there is uninterrupted bliss when you are all by yourself as the consciousness, while negating the body and mind complex as an instrument with dependent existence. Since consciousness is bliss, let us understand how it is defined by the Vedas, which refers to it as Atma or Brahman. It is an independent and formless substance, the nature of which to a certain degree can be explained with the principle of light. Atma pervades and enlivens the body. It is intimately associated with the body, but it is not a part, property, or product of the body. Because everything happens only in its presence, it is also known as the witness consciousness. The body-mind become aware of everything in its presence, but the consciousness is not affected by anything that happens to the body, including death. It is like the light which pervades and illuminates all the objects, but it is not a part of the object. That is why the light remains unaffected no matter whatever happens to the object it illuminates. Incidental fact and intrinsic truth. Atma has independent existence and Anatma has borrowed existence. Every object has its own intrinsic nature. It can have nature borrowed from the outside, which is its incidental nature. Intrinsic is permanent and incidental is temporary. Let me explain this concept with the help of an example. When we boil water in a utensil, the water enjoys heat as an incidental property borrowed from the heat of the utensil, which the utensil borrows from the fire that burns underneath. The water will go back to its normal temperature, its intrinsic state, when the utensil is removed from the fire. Heat is the intrinsic nature of fire in this analogy. Thus, whatever is borrowed is temporary and therefore not its real nature. On the other hand, the intrinsic nature is permanent and cannot be separated from the object, like the sweetness of sugar. Based on what I just said, whatever is temporary can only be incidental. Body-mind of an individual which enjoys temporary existence is therefore his incidental nature. Our association with body and mind is not our intrinsic nature, and hence our false self or false identity. On the other hand, consciousness, which is permanent with self-independent existence, is our real nature or our real self. The primary objective of understanding the truth about our real self and the correct identification is necessary if we want to remain undisturbed by the constantly changing realities of this world. As long as we remain identified with Atma, our true self, the ever-changing nature of the world cannot impact us because of no real association of the consciousness with the body-mind. We cannot change this world, but it is very possible to transform our thinking about ourselves and the world to get to our ultimate goal, which is peace. Realizing your real self and owning it as you or your real self is your solution. Shifting your thinking about your true identity is all that is needed to stay in permanent peace.